Hey folks, welcome back. So today we have here a very bland, plain looking box, right? But remember, you should never judge a box by its cover because under here we got something pretty awesome. Now, this is going to be a brand new unboxing review, and the second part of the review I will talk about more about since I've shot it a few more times. But this is a brand new look at it. I haven't actually opened it myself, so we'll take a look inside and see what's going on here. This is a 2018 Tokyo Marui Glock 19, in case you folks can't see from the box. Alright, so look inside. There's a lot of red tape. Well, literally a lot of red tape installed. This is a little bit more usual than I've seen in the past. Usually they just cover up, say, the trademarks and stuff like that. But in this case, they really went all out here. I don't know if this is because of other reasons, but anyway, we'll talk about that later. So right here's the box. They always invert the box a little bit, just to, again, to, prevent it from, I guess, customs inspection. A little bit torn here, but not a big deal. I didn't buy the gun for the box. I bought it for the gun. Still a nice looking box though. They kind of outlined, like they blocked out all the Glock parts and then they 3M taped the other stuff too. But very good looking box here. Okay, so we'll take a picture of that later and we'll take a look at what it should look like. Anyway, back to the innards of the box. Comes with the general stuff you see here. Looks like a 22 round mag, a loading or an unjamming rod slash cleaning rod, which is taped in there. That's why I can't pull it out. And we've got here the bag of BBs that comes inside of it, as well as a couple of the standard Tokyo Marui barrel plunger that comes with it. But that's the kit right there. Now, this is what the box looks like if you invert everything to its original form and then tape up the sides again. Very nice looking box for the most part with the Glock logos on it. I'm not sure why they had to Sharpie out the Austria and the 9x19 well, over here they just kind of tape the Glock parts. I'm not sure what was the decision by that, but either way, it looks really nice after you remove all the stuff. Over here, you can take a look at what's inside the box and what it should look like on presentation, including the orange tip in this case right here. But again, full trays and everything installed, and with the orange tip. But I know, what a terrible photo op, right, with the orange tip in it. So I'll show you another photo of what it should look like, and this is here where it doesn't have the orange tip. So it looks very nice, right? Got a lot more realism behind it. Can almost pass as the real thing, really, for the most part, if you don't look carefully and you don't pick it up and stuff like that. But very sleek look and very authentic to the original Glock 19. Anyway, so that's just a good still frames of the box and the gun itself. So anyway, that was the overall impressions and looks of the box, both the inside and the outside. So we can put that away for now. I'll show you all the other stuff that we get with it. It's these pamphlets, the instruction manuals, which is blocked out. But all the stuff, or the directions are in, I believe, Japanese. I had a friend that lives there, teaches English, and she has some friends that, are coworkers that speak Japanese, but I was unable to get them to translate some of this manual. But they're pretty standard stuff in here anyway. I'm sure all you folks are aware of how to operate these by now. But some of the stuff I thought was kind of interesting that I was kind of wondering about, but that's for another time. Anyway, this is what it looks like without the duct tape or the tape installed. Alright, so let's get back to the gun itself. Again, here's the actual meat and potatoes of it. It feels kind of light, but again, that's with most of the weights are in the magazine, right? So we're not going to really experience that without the magazine installed. As we start peeling back some of the tape, the red tape, you'll notice there's more tape underneath, this time the black tape. So it makes me wonder if this red tape there is, because I have read that in California you have to have some of the red tape or bright phosphorescent tape, I guess, around certain areas of these firearms or these guns that you get. And I'm wondering if Washington State has adopted some of those rules. I don't know. If anyone is the expert in that, please fill me in on the details. It'd be kind of good to know. Uh, anyway, I'll fast forward to this. Again, that's some more 3M black tape. Under this is where you see the real good stuff here. Watch this. We peel this back. There we go. Glock 9 by 19 Austria 9 by 19 again. Sorry, 19. Whatever. You get the point. Orange tip. It's attached in this section right here, but you'll find out in a later section that actually comes off pretty easily for some reason, which is good. Normally, I like to melt it if the barrel is metal, because then the different melting points, you can melt it off and not have a big issue. But in this case, the barrel is also plastic, so you kind of have to use pliers, or you can just shoot it and it'll fall off, like in the eventually what happened to this gun. Anyway, I'll fast forward through this as we remove the tape. Okay, so now that the tape's gone, we can start evaluating this gun. Overall, it looks really good. I think, despite having all standard plastic furniture for the most part, minus a couple parts like the slide release lever, everything else is pretty much plastic. But it does a really good job, texturizing it to the point it doesn't look as obvious. And in a minute, I'll pull out the old Tokyo Marui G26 and show you folks how they stack up and how the plastic furniture has evolved over time. It's a lot grainier now, it's texturized, and it looks almost like it's metal, even though it is not metal. Everything is plastic, to be clear, but it looks and it almost feels a little bit more metallic, even though it's not, which is really good. The back plate there is still plastic, just like in the real steel, so that's actually always going to be true since that's plastic. Standard Glock sights, Glock logo. This thing again, where they can just if they've copied everything else, you might as well just just do it. Copy that part too. Just write "Made in Austria, Glock Inc., Smyrna, Georgia." How hard is it to do that? You've copied everything else. Just please. But again, it's not a big deal. It's just one thing, just kind of a pet peeve of mine. Standard safety switch that you always get on Marui's. I personally prefer the little lever, or the plate there that has a serial number rather than the safety. But again, it's a minor thing. I don't really care so much. It's a personal preference issue. Again, lower frame looks pretty good. Plastic, very firm polymer, very comparable to everything else I've seen on the market so far, so very good. Nothing worse, nothing better, but solid stuff. Magazine looks pretty clean right there. You can tell it's a 15-round magazine with some black tape right there, which means you know what's underneath, right? As you can guess, it's probably trademarks. And I'm kind of figuring it out right now. But of course, you got trades right there. Very nice Austria Glock trademark with the 9mm marking at the very top right there, which is great. This magazine holds 22 rounds. Now, it doesn't have the Glock logo at the bottom like your Elite Force Glock, so it's not as realistic there. It does say Glock there, but again, it's just a little bit less realistic. Nice though, it has that little hole at the bottom so it's easier to fill gas, but again, you kind of pay the penalty in losing a little bit of realism right there. Gun itself, nice, kind of light, but with the magazine in there, has a good weight to it. A little bit difficult to cock back at first, but that's just because of the gunk and the grease inside of it. And the slide's a little bit sluggish when you release it. Magazine falls out nicely. But overall, it just takes a little breaking in. So when I release the slide right now, it doesn't look like it's going to drop fully, but that's just because it's a little bit, the grease inside of it is just a little bit slower. Once I took it down, re-greased it, put a couple hundred rounds through it, it was working flawlessly. The slide snaps back really efficiently. So don't let the slide in this case fool you. It fooled me a little bit, but after that it came back and was pretty good. Okay, so right here I've got the old Glock 26 by Tokyo Marui. Notice that, again, it's the older version, but compared to the newer one, but they're a little bit different. So as you can tell here in the Glock 26 as a size comparison, it's a lot smaller than the G19. It's not as dramatic because remember the 19 is already the compact, the G26 is subcompact, and then the Glock 17 is the full size. But again, look at how kind of shiny the Glock 726 slide is. And at certain angles it looks okay actually, but actually it looks really good at certain angles. But for the most part, it's kind of plasticky, and you can kind of tell it, especially if you pick it up sometimes. But so it's going to be harder to fool folks that it's basically one of the downsides of the Maruis, and it's Achilles heels kind of. Now compared to the new one, check it out, exact same plastic furniture, but just maybe different material, and the texturing is what really sets it apart, I think. It makes it looks less smooth. You don't notice as shiny as much, and it just looks all around like it's more quality. Not to say that the plastic slide on the 26 was bad, but the groovings, or sorry, the molding outlines on the slide right there isn't as obvious in that case. Whereas if you look at the molding lines on this one, it's hard to see in the camera, but the lines on the edge slides right here are a little bit more obvious if you pick it up in person and take a look. So I think that's hats off to Marui for making some improvements in their new series right there. Um, Now, as far as the slide lock or slide return function, now initially during this video, I thought that the 26 compared to 26, the new Glock 19 was a little sluggish. But again, that's only because there's a lot of gunk in it, and I haven't really properly torn it down and re-lubed it. Afterwards, it was no different, and so they were both really smooth working pieces. All right, so let's talk about the magazines real quick. Uh, these are the two magazines compared together, Tokyo Marui to Tokyo Marui. The old Glock 26 magazine from Tokyo Marui, I didn't really like as much, to be honest with you. I thought they were a little bit on the sloppy side in terms of the trademarks. Sorry, not the trademarks, but the outline. So look at the outline right there. The trademark looks fine, but the outline you can see is kind of messy. There's a little rectangle you kind of see outlining the whole magazine, some dots here and there. So I thought that was a little bit messy. The magazines worked fine though, but just in terms of appearance, yeah, it could be improved. This new one, much cleaner. Look how there's no rectangular outline. The trademarks are just as good as the original. If I don't want to say better, they're the same. But the main thing is there's no outlines. There's an extra 9 millimeter marking, and they look really solid, I think. Even the coating looks a little bit different. Now, one thing to note though is that there's these two pins that hold the bottom of the magazine together. Now, not the base plate, but the bottom of the magazine. And the old system uses a little screw underneath this base plate right here, which you can't really see. But I've been told that the old magazine system, the screw works better and it doesn't leak as much as the newer system, which uses those two pins right there. Well, time will tell if that's true or not, and so far I don't think it's an issue, but we'll keep y'all in the loop and we'll find out. As far as the orange tip goes, they didn't use too much glue, so it actually fell out after about like 50 or so rounds. So you don't even have to worry about pliers, but if it doesn't, you probably have to use pliers or something like that. But not too bad. I can get behind that. Here's another video of us shooting the gun itself. Now there is a lot of snow coming out outside right now, but the gun obviously was under a warm temperature, so I just opened the window to shoot a little bit. But pretty good recoil. For a duster gas gun only, so they really improved the kickback in the system, which is great. Another great thing about this, I've noticed that it can shoot paintballs. So yes, those are the 6 millimeter paintballs, and we're firing at like 250 FPS with the duster gas. So it's pretty reliable. I think that's a great extra feature. And even if it does break in the barrel, you can just clean it out. So no big deal. Good thing to note about this gun. Now, this isn't a whole video about the shooting test because you can take a look at the results from the other video I made that's titled Tokyo Marui Glock 19 Magazine Compatibilities, Part 1 and Part 2. But basically, if you use the duster gas, you can get about anywhere from 100 to 120 shots. If you use propane, you only get about 45, although you get slightly higher FPS. So with duster, you're kind of getting around like the 250s under warm conditions, and then with the propane, you're getting around like 270, 275. So pretty good results for a gun. Go check out those videos. Those actually are pretty interesting if you all are interested, as well as different magazine compatibilities. You know, can you use a WE? Can you use Tokyo Maruis? Can you use Elite Force? Anyway, the rest of the video is just going to be still images of this gun as more of a close-up for y'all to take a look at the trademarks, more detailed images of the texture, things like that. That would be more helpful. But thanks a lot, folks, for taking a look at this, and please give us a thumbs up or subscribe to our channel. And of course, always feel free to leave us some comments about what y'all would like to see next, more details, or what questions you folks might have about this, because a lot of those are great ideas for more videos for us to make. All right, well, hope you see you folks next time. And that was just a brief unboxing video of the new Marui Glock 19. So there'll be more videos to follow for sure. Enjoy the rest of the slideshow, and see you folks next week.